Hello, this is RedactedNPC. I am so sad. I originally recorded this back in March, and as I was getting ready to upload the final video, I I decided to try and condense the first portion to a much less rambly video. And as I was rendering out the final product, the file got corrupted and I lost everything. I still have the original audio, and I still have the audio that I recorded trying to condense things, but I don't have the video to match it. So I'm going to go through and basically just talk about everything that I already talked about before. There won't be as much or as good of editing as there originally was. And I suppose this is just egg on my face. From now on, I'm going to be saving the files for the episode breakdown. I'm going to actually be saving those files rather than just recording one, editing it, and then uploading it and deleting all the files. So go ahead and take a listen to the original. No, not the original. Go ahead and take a listen to the condensed version of the intro. Alright, Redacted Editor here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut myself off from the very beginning. So in the original, I go on a 12-minute tangent or rant about Proud Mode, and I tried not to get frustrated, but eventually I did get frustrated, and it just ended up wasting a lot of time. So that went on about 12 minutes. I'm going to try and condense it. For context, this was originally recorded in March, and it was completely done editing, but I haven't posted in a while. It's currently August, so I'll go ahead and talk about that. For what it's worth, Proud Mode is the mod that I made for a game called Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. The intent is to increase the difficulty by increasing the AI so that it's more intelligent, and also increasing some of the enemy stats. In the game, by default, you're just very overpowered, I feel, and it's a little difficult to have fun, to feel like you're being challenged. I think the intent of the game is more to feel like you're going on a power trip rather than being challenged. So I just went through and made a mod that replaced the story mode character original AI with higher AI and better stats. That was fun for a while, for about 6 months. I started back in, I want to say 2020 in September, and I worked on it for a few months and then finally pushed out the first version in November. And I was all excited because I had never done any code before, and I had never made a mod before. So it was fun for about 6 months while I figured that out, and anytime people would say that, oh, I have this problem, I would go and do my best to fix it. The problem is two things. One, whenever other people had issues with their game, I wasn't able to reproduce it because those bugs never appeared in my game. So I would do my best to fix the issues kind of blind, or I do my best to try and recreate it on my computer, but I just wasn't able to. The other problem was that sometimes, I know this is a meme that you see a lot in coding groups, but sometimes parts of the game that my mod doesn't have any code for will break, and it doesn't make any sense to me. So I would go and look, and people would say, this character's acting weird, and I'd look and I'd say, but my mod doesn't interact with that character, so I don't know why they're acting weird, but I guess I'll do my best to fix it. And I would go through and tell that character, no, act like this from now on. And different side missions, different parts of the story, I would have to go through and keep adding more and more things. Over time, I stopped having as much fun making it. The community would ask for changes to the mod that weren't in line with my original vision. In truth, I made the mod and I uploaded it just because I wanted to have some free cloud storage without having to look for it anywhere specific or worry about it mistakenly getting deleted from my cloud storage or something like that. So I just put it online. I wasn't expecting people to play it, but people did like it to an extent. They didn't like some of the changes I did. The next problem that I was facing was that everyone wanted something different. Some people wanted me to make it a lot more difficult. Some people wanted me to make it easier. Some people wanted me to add different changes here or there about one thing or another. And I just couldn't please everyone. Well, it went on for about 2.5 years that I would just keep updating the mod and trying my best to give everyone what they wanted. And I started posting videos less because what would happen is anytime the latest video on my channel wasn't about Proud Mode, people would then come and ask me, hey, what's the update on Proud Mode? And the frustrating part with that is that I would make videos, I would reply to comments, I would go on the mod page where people download, I would go to the Discord channel, the Discord server, where people congregated around these mods in general and talked about it. I posted everywhere that I could think of trying to answer these questions, but for whatever reason, people were still asking the exact same questions, and it never seemed like I was able to reach everyone. No matter what I did, everyone was still asking the exact same question, pointing out the exact same bugs, having the exact same issues, and it was frustrating. It was especially frustrating when people would come to a different video of mine and they would start asking questions about Proud Mode. If I post 2 videos in a row talking about Proud Mode, and then I post a video that's not related about Proud Mode, I don't want you coming to that new video and asking me about Proud Mode. It is frustrating and annoying. So, eventually, I talked to myself about whether or not I wanted to stop making the mod. And we'll talk about this more when it comes to episode 3, but I was saying to myself, well, if I just spend... I was making this back in vet school. I was saying to myself, if I just spend a little bit of time every day working on this, then I'll be able to make some progress. But then I would ask myself, well, why am I even doing this? I've said many times before, I don't make any money from any of the things I do online, so if something isn't fun anymore, I'm just not going to do it anymore. So why was I still doing this thing, which wasn't fun for me? It was a struggle. I don't know code. I specifically learn code to write this mod. And you'll notice that this is the only mod out of the entire modding community. This is the only mod to date, currently, that affects the vanilla story mode. And I realize now the reason why no one messes with the vanilla story mode, no one messes with any AI, is because the game really doesn't like when you do that. And so it has a lot of bugs and issues. So I asked myself, why am I still struggling through this, pushing myself to do this when I'm not enjoying myself and I'm not liking the mod? Stopped being my original vision. Even worse, I couldn't enjoy the game anymore. I haven't actually played that game in almost 3 years now, because whenever I play without the mod, the game's too easy, hence why I made it. When I play with the mod, I just feel like I'm bug testing, like how I just feel like I'm going through and I'm looking for bugs and I'm checking to make sure that this character appears at this time and this character should be acting like this, and oh, they stopped acting like that. That must mean that they're at this amount of health. So overall, very frustrating. The reason that I continued to work on it in spite of how I was feeling is because I kept saying to myself, but it makes other people happy. Other people are able to benefit from this. Think about how many people enjoy this mod from what I can see. Should I really stop just because I'm getting burnt out? Should I really stop just because it's difficult for me? Come on, just work a little bit every day and eventually you'll continue to progress and hopefully put out a product that most people can be happy with, because you can't please everyone, but that should be enough, right? Well, after getting more and more comments on any of my videos that weren't about Proud Mode, I started posting less and less because it made me upset to see those comments on my other videos, and I didn't like that. And then when I realized that I was more or less doing this to myself, like I could at any point just stop and say, yeah, I'm done, and not put out any more updates and let the bugs be there and not worry about it. But I, again, wanted to try and do as best I can for the people who are enjoying my mod. But ultimately, I had to decide that I value my happiness more than the happiness of random people online. This mod is causing me such grief trying to keep it updated, seeing people comment on my videos, that I'm not enjoying myself. I'm not even posting on my channel, which is something I've always been doing for fun. Now, of course, you'll say, well, why do you even look at it? You should have just ignored the comments. Just don't read the comments, bro. It's not that difficult. And yeah, sure, that is an approach to it. But if you're this far into my episode breakdowns, you have heard this basically every episode. The most fun part of making these videos to me is reading people's comments, responses to what I've done, their theories, what they thought was going to happen, what they think is going to happen, things like that. So when I get a notification on my phone that I have a new comment, and I get all excited, and I go and I look, and oh, it's a comment on my latest video, I wonder what it's gonna be, oh, I wonder what they theorized, and it's just, hey, so that bug you've already addressed in 4 different places about proud mode, hey, yeah, I'm having that bug, how do I fix it? It's irritating, it's upsetting. So ultimately, I decided to just push out the final version of proud mode, and that's what we have for now. And that's why I haven't been posting as much, is because I was wanting to put out that final update. So finally, I could just now, whenever people say they're having issues with proud mode, it no longer bothers me. I always want to put out something that I can look back upon with pride. So whenever people were having issues, I was like, oh, well, I want to help them out. And 2, I'm upset with myself that my product, so to speak, isn't working how I intended. But now, whenever people say that they're having issues about this or that, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. I'm able to just set it aside and say, well, I already told them this is the final update. I've given them all that I can. There's nothing more I can do. I'm done. That's essentially everything that I was going to say. I'm looking right now. It looks like I didn't shave off that much time, but I will say it's a lot more concise and a lot less rambly than it was before. I'll also take these additional few seconds to just point out that I've gone through now all my previous episode breakdowns and I've added subtitles. This is for anyone who has difficulty hearing or other people who are English second language. I have spent hours just going through adding these captions just for you all. I don't expect many people will use them, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't expect very many people will use them or it'll actually be all that important, but I figured for the 1 or 2 people who use them, then there you go. After all, my favorite thing about my videos is the small details that I put into them. Right. Unfortunately, I didn't have the speed paint of me making the title, so apologies for you having to just look at this for 12 minutes, or maybe you just use this as a podcast. For all I know, people listen to this while doing laundry. So let's go ahead and get started. I didn't review any of my notes because I just want to move on to other episode breakdowns. Of course, I forgot to change this. I think in the original I stopped to talk about context, and I spent a whole maybe 2 minutes talking about it. The only reason I have this original shot with Krillin flying, with Marin and everything, and everyone going here, instead of just jumping straight to the conversation, is for context. It gives you some time to collect yourself and realize what's going on, where we are, things like that. Yeah, I have my notes here on the side. I have 2 different notes, the timestamps and the notes themselves that I have to reference, but essentially this gives you some time to recognize, okay, so we're on Earth, it looks like everyone's happy, there's nothing bad going on, and then the land. Oh, and it looks like there's a gathering, maybe it's some kind of party. That's the whole purpose of this first 10 or so seconds. Oh, the inspiration, I forgot to mention. So the inspiration behind this was when Goku was fighting Toppo in, I think, either episode 91 or 92 of Dragon Ball Super. Toppo claims that he's all about justice and Goku's evil, and Goku's like, that's fine. I don't care. I'm okay with that. And I thought we were going to get a Villain Goku arc, but we didn't. So I'm making this series to give what if Goku was the villain. I'm sure I've talked about this before. Toriyama himself has stated that he doesn't like how the anime makes Goku seem a lot more righteous. The whole point of Goku is that he just wants a good fight, and he doesn't care about being a hero, or he'll still do his best to save people, but that's more because it falls in line with him getting a good fight anyway, not because he's doing it because justice is important or anything like that. So I wanted to make this to discuss that. Alright, a few things you may notice. You may notice that the audio quality for Krillin here is low. That's because this is back when I was still using up the files that I recorded myself and cleaned up myself, rather than extracting it directly from the game files. And that's why. The other thing I wanted to point out is that this originally wasn't meant to be a continuation of the future Goten series. The only reason that I did that is because I realized that there was nothing really stopping this from being a continuation. And in fact, having Goku being depressed about having to kill Goten gives a reason, a motivation for this tournament, aside from just Goku wants a good fight. So I figured, okay, well, why not? We'll go ahead and make this a continuation. すごいやつなのかもな。安心してかかってくるんだ。宇宙消滅の危機のこと、まだ皆さんにお話ししてないみたいですね。君なかなかやるな。どうしても起きねえんだ、ブーのやつ。いやー、めっちまったよ。Alright, so let's go ahead and go back a little bit. A few things I wanted to point out. Goku talking about setting up some insurance is meant to be foreshadowing. I liked how stupid Super has made Goku. It's the effect that happens a lot where the audience responds to a character, and so they become more and more one-dimensional. And I think the classic example that people usually give for this is Joey from Friends. Originally, he was a pretty competent person. He was just an actor, but people responded to him being so stupid in such a positive light, and they loved it so much that over the seasons, his character continued to devolve. He continued to get stupider and stupider. I feel like the same thing probably happened with Goku. Or maybe they're just really leaning into him being a country hick who never saw another person until he was 4 when he met Bulma. I don't know. But Goku saying he's setting up some insurance is meant to be foreshadowing. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that we are getting ready to have a conflict between Goku and his friends. Obviously, when there's a villain like Frieza or Cell, and you have conflict with them, the easy solution is just you kill them, or you fight them, or whatever. But you can't really do that with your friends, with your team. Like, if they have a disagreement, which they're about to have, they have to actually resolve it through talking. So it gives a little bit more tension to what's going on, because there's no quick solution. If you're having an issue with someone, you can't just say, yeah, I'll just punch him in the face until you realize he's wrong, or I'll just kill this guy because he's a genocidal maniac or something like that. You have to actually resolve it. またやるじゃないか。今回はここで終わりにしよう。それじゃ始めようぜ。落ち着いて技を出すんだ。あんなこと言わせたまんまじゃ悔しいだろ。うまく技が使えていたな。またその調子で頼むぞ。ここまで来た実力、オラに見せてみろ。So this wasn't intentional. Gohan seems to be the only one who's actually compassionate about Goku's feelings. Maybe if I were to go back now, I can make an excuse for why this is. Gohan, being Goku's son, cares a lot more about him than arguably anyone else. You could make an argument that Krillin cares about him given how long their relationship is, that he cares as much as Gohan, but Gohan knows what Goku's been through. Not only did his dad have to go and fight his brother, but he had to kill him. He has had first-hand witness, or as close to first-hand. Chi-Chi would actually have first-hand witness because Gohan lives alone. He has had to actually watch his father be depressed or sad, or at least just less himself, which he's never been in his entire life. Everyone else is, thinking about themselves, and Gohan is too, but he recognizes what a difficult position his dad is currently in.
みんな助かっぞ。おめえもしっかりやんだぞ。戦おうぜ。いいぞ。お前な。
Vegeta randomly shows up here. That's because in the original, if we go and take a look, in the original, Vegeta actually pops in with his comment. Like Goku's like, hey guys, sorry, I didn't mean to bring us into the tournament. And then Vegeta talks. Problem is, in this video, Vegeta doesn't have any talking lines, so I didn't really have anything to introduce him. He's just there. I've talked before about I don't want to call it an issue with Vegeta, but I've talked before about why I have never been able to use Vegeta to his full potential. We'll actually see him start to talk a little bit more in episode 4. Yeah, episode 4. And then we'll start to explore Vegeta more as a character. But
いいぞ。お前ならきっとやるはずだ。遠慮せずに来いよ。俺が一番怒ってるのは。
right there, notice the drop in Krillin's voice line. Again, it's because I'm still using up some of my old files.
このままどこまで強くなっていくのか楽しみになるぜ。教えた技を使って。それより頼んだものはできたのかよ。よし、授業。
This voice for Goku here isn't actually Goku. This is the voice for Turles, which arguably is still Goku because it's the same voice actress. But I noticed that while she does voice a lot of the same Gokus, she puts a lot of effort into making their tone different. So Bardock is also voiced by her, and he's a lot more, I don't know how to say, maybe grungy. He's supposed to be a rebel, but he has his own tone. Super Saiyan Goku, of course, obviously sounds a lot more serious and angry. Bardock is more of a calm anger. Goku Black is a lot more sinister, and so is Turles. Goku Black is a lot more calm, sinister. Turles is a lot more haughty and contempt. I'm not quite sure the correct words to use it, but Goku is very bubbly and happy. Even when he's apologizing, even in this actual scene, he still sounds, instead of being, man, guys, I really messed up. I'm so sorry. I really wanted to have a fight with everyone. Instead, Goku's like, oh, well, geez, guys, I didn't know you were going to feel like this. I feel like a real jerk now. This is awful. He still sounds upbeat and happy. So, and this is true going forward for the rest of the series, for any part where Goku sounds dark and sinister, it's actually Turles' voice that was used. I also have in my notes that at this point in the original I talked about the thumbnail origin. The thumbnail, which I have right here, and we're going to see this in just a second. Let's see. The thumbnail is from the actual Tournament of Power. It's from the end when the narrator is talking about everyone going to the Tournament of Power. So it shows everyone like this really cool backgrounds. Problem is, still images, every single one of them. So I couldn't actually use them. But I did have the one from Goku. So I just cut that out with a mask, use that as the thumbnail, and no, I think even in the actual thumbnail, I didn't actually cut it out. I just left it as is.
よし、授業を始めるぞ。教えた技を使って俺を倒してみるんだ。もう少し本気を出しても良さそうだ。お前、俺の修行時代なんかよりよっぽどすごいな。よくやったな。まあ今回はこんなところか。
Alright. One other thing I wanted to point out about the thumbnail is that I used it for the thumbnail, that still image. This. I used this as the thumbnail because I realized that I had forgotten to make a thumbnail when I uploaded this, so I was just using the quickest, easiest thing I could find. I usually try and be a bit more original, but unfortunately I wasn't this time. In regards to this, so Goku has a fighting match with Krillin and Android 18, and I was so disappointed that it wasn't a complete washout. I felt like I didn't understand power scaling anymore. I feel like Goku, Vegeta, arguably Gohan and Piccolo are so far above and beyond the other characters that it shouldn't even be close. When Goku punches Krillin says, and this might be filler, but Krillin says, Goku, I want you to punch me in the face as hard as you can, because maybe if I feel how strong you are, it will motivate me to start working out again. Krillin should have died. Goku should have exploded his head. The fact that Krillin survived that and was like, ah man, that hurt. Oof, I really gotta get back to training. I understand it's meant to be comedic or it's meant to symbolize something, and you could even argue that Goku's holding back, although he certainly didn't look like it. But it's still very disappointing that, sure, even if it's a 2-on-1, in the fight they weren't using all that much choreography or techniques or anything like that. And I think especially when Goku was using the Kamehameha against Krillin, and then Android 18 joins in, and they managed to hold Goku off, they shouldn't be able to. 18 hasn't been training, from what I know. Krillin has been fighting Earth's forces, which are way weaker than him. So it should be a complete washout. It shouldn't even be close. Hey, Redacted Editor here. Just gonna go ahead and flat out say I was wrong. As I'm editing, I am re-seeing these clips. First thing I'm wrong about, Goku punching Krillin 100% is comedic. It's not that serious. I was doing this based off memory, and whoo boy, that was such a trash take. Secondly, I'm still going to leave it in there though. Go ahead and laugh at me. Secondly, the Goku versus Krillin and Android 18, it was actually just Goku versus Krillin. Android 18 only comes in at the last second when Goku's Kamehameha is about to overwhelm Krillin, and she just kicks it away. Again, 100% just meant to symbolize something, 100% me just taking it too seriously. That's it. What I ended up deciding is that if a group of people is using proper technique, they should be able to overwhelm a more powerful opponent. And we see this with Frieza when he's fighting the Earth's forces and Vegeta, how they keep coming after him one after another. And sure, there's the whole, well, Gohan's super strong and he lets out his rage and he fights Frieza in his second form. Then Piccolo comes and he fused with Nail, so he's even more powerful. Sure, there's all that, but there was still technique about coming in, blinding him with the solar flare, attacking him with Destructo Disc, all of that. There's still some technique. You can see how even if someone is super powerful, enough people are able to give him difficulty. But the difference then is that Frieza was still holding back significantly in his second form. And I suppose you could make that argument still about Goku, Krillin, and Android 18, but it seemed like Goku was really giving it his all. Perhaps I'm just being extra. Anyway, if you have enough technique, you're able to overpower a powerful opponent. We'll see this in the actual tournament itself. I even reference this a little bit here because I feel like Gohan and Vegeta would be able to overwhelm Goku himself. Even if you had no one else, Vegeta, sure, Goku's more powerful than Vegeta. That's fine. Vegeta should still be able to take out, at minimum, 70% of Goku's strength. Goku shouldn't be able to fight anyone else realistically or reasonably powerful after fighting Vegeta. So then if he had to fight Gohan, or I would argue even Piccolo, he should then lose. Sure, he might still take out Piccolo, but he should still lose. So Goku recognizes he can't fight everyone here. So what does he do? Well, he's going to use his instant transmission to separate everyone out. Because a one-on-one he can do. We'll talk about this a little bit more in a moment. Notice there are multiple teleportation sound effects. Again, it's just used to show what's happening off screen because I don't have, at this point when Goku teleports, it's actually just him leaving. So I don't have one for everyone teleporting. And while I do have this effect, I can kind of reproduce this effect. It's going to be really difficult to do that for everyone, for someone of my skill level. So I'm just not going to bother. So I talked about earlier how I don't like how stupid Goku has been made, and I wanted to show that he's using strategy in order to fight people again. This is meant to show that Goku does have limits on his strength. He's not immensely powerful. He does have to actually use techniques to fight people. Like how he did with Frieza. When he realized Frieza can't sense ki, so I'm going to put these blasts in the water and then throw them up one at a time while making him think, oh, that's me that's coming out, and then I'll surprise attack him. Alright, so let's talk about, again, the limits of Goku's strength. In the Cell Saga, Tien was shown to be able to keep semi-perfect Cell in check with his Tri-Beam attack. Semi-perfect Cell was shown to be as strong as Super Saiyans, which means that despite being a human, when Tien puts his life on the line, he's able to keep up with the Saiyans when they're giving their all. Even if they're not putting their lives on the line, he still is a contender. So I was disappointed how he was treated in Super. He is a background character to the background characters. He shows up in Super, grabs one person, kamikazes over the edge, and that's it. He doesn't do anything. It's very disappointing how much disrespect has been put on him. Now, it's shown in Super that he's training people, and we know that in order for Goku to teleport, he needs to be able to lock onto someone's ki, but most people aren't strong enough for Goku to sense them. Furthermore, it's shown that Tien's students are struggling to be able to manipulate ki. I thought this would be a nice way to bring in what Tien has been doing over the years back into the story. In this, we show what I would have done is I would have had him train his pupils. They would have discovered their ability to use ki. Goku would have been there and seen it. I think there's a scene, but I'll probably just edit this in for you guys to see instead. Furthermore, we also know that there are limitations to Goku's instant transmission. He can't sense someone's ki from too far away. So, what he did is he took Tien's students, he beat them up, and he dropped them off throughout the planet. Their ki is still enough that he's able to sense them, so he'll just teleport, grab Tien, teleport to the student, go back to the party. grab Vegeta, teleport to a different student, go back to the party over and over. That way he's able to separate everyone. Because again, he can't fight everyone all at once. And while the Saiyans may have their pride about one-on-one duels, the Earthlings have their strategy about this is ridiculous. This isn't a one-on-one fight. This is a battle royale. Or not a battle royale. It's a team sport. So we're going to come in and we're going to beat you down. So that is why you see the different locations that we see Goku talking to. Which, I'll talk about this in a moment. It's not actually Goku you're seeing. Now, in theory, this still wouldn't work because Goku would have to beat up Vegeta. Like, everyone's going to realize what's going on, and they're probably just going to try and fly back to either the lookout or probably the lookout to try and rendezvous. So Goku's going to have to beat up Vegeta, somehow heal. We could say he maybe has a few sensu beans, but I would imagine Korin would leave. Beat up Vegeta, heal with some sensu beans, go and beat up Gohan, heal with some sensu beans, go and beat up Piccolo. And that's assuming that people like Gohan and Piccolo don't just stall for time until everyone's able to get back together. He is on a time limit to defeat everyone. Plus he has to fight everyone back to back to back. It's a lot for him to deal with. Plus he's obviously, even in this what if scenario, he's not going to kill his friends. That's just not a Goku thing to do. He didn't even kill Vegeta, and Vegeta wasn't his friend in the Saiyan saga. So, coming up, we'll see some images of Goku talking to people. It's Gohan. Almost every single time that you see someone every single time you see someone who's wearing the orange gi, and it's meant to symbolize Goku, it's Gohan. This, where Krillin's looking up, and you see this orange gi, it's Gohan. This, where you see Piccolo facing off against Goku, it's Gohan. And this is actually Goku talking with Android 17. And this is obviously actually Gohan. This is when Gohan is talking to Krillin. But this, where Goku punches Tien, it's Gohan. It's always Gohan. It's always been Gohan. Just because I don't have very good images of Goku fighting these characters. So I took advantage of the fact that they're wearing the same outfit. I also used the flashbacks that we're about to see in order to fill some time so that Goku had enough time to talk, because I didn't have enough scenes of this. I couldn't keep making Gohan look like Goku forever. So I used the flashbacks in order to stall for time. And you'll also notice the rhythm, and I promise I'll play this soon. The rhythm is someone, and then you hear the drum. Someone, like, present, drum, present, drum, present, long one. This goes through 2 drums, and then it's the same thing. Flashback, drum, then a long scene where we go through 2 drums. You'll see what I mean once we start the actual music.
よそや仲間割れなんてつまらねえぜ。俺たち使い捨ての下級戦士はタイプが少ないからな。一泡吹かせることができるな。いずれ全てを俺にひざまずかせてみせる。
Again, Turles' voice right here. This Goku sounding all upset, and this entire sequence, I'm pretty sure, all just Turles.
そのつもりはないか。そんなに実力で俺の下につこうってのか。呆れたやつだぜ。やればできるじゃねえか。楽しみだ。 サイヤ人の血がたぎるぜ。本気でかかってきな。なかなかいい動きだ。とりあえずお前の力を見せてもらおうか。
So, everything that Goku talked about here was legit. It was real. Saiyans came to destroy the city, killed people, and Goku wanted to spare Vegeta because he just wanted a good fight. The entire purpose of this was just for me to point out how Goku just wants a good fight. Of course, I'm skipping over some story elements and the nuances that come with these scenes, but I'm doing that intentionally just to show that Goku has always only cared about one thing. He doesn't care about, and I'm making him seem more evil than he is just so I can get my evil Goku arc going. Genocidal tyrant comes in, starts killing people of a race he's friends with, and he's just, yeah. Oh yeah, and he also killed Krillin and was about to kill Gohan, and he just, now officially in the original, he says, you've lost, like, you know you've lost, I know you've lost, so now you have to live with the shame of knowing you've lost to someone that you look down on. And living with that shame is much more impactful than living with, or than me killing you, because you're going to have to live with this. Obviously, a lot of people disagree with this because Frieza's just going to come back and look for Earth and then kill or destroy Earth, but he ends up dying anyway, it doesn't matter. Cell comes in, he's wanting to destroy the planet, and he's still just, now again, originally Goku's like, well, I know Gohan is so powerful that it doesn't matter if I heal this guy up. It's the equivalent of Krillin fighting Goku. It doesn't matter if Krillin gets to heal up in the middle of it, Gohan or Goku's still going to win anyway, and it's the same thing here. That's why he actually did it. This, I think, was either said by Toriyama or actually said in the anime. I don't remember, but Goku, no, it's in the anime. Goku admits he could have defeated Buu during their encounter, and he just didn't. This was my favorite part. Just how Gohan looking down matches the music here. I liked it. And then as discussed, this is Gohan punching Tien. And I still made it so that even when he's getting beat up, Tien is still the only one who's willing to fight, go above and beyond. Okay, we're going to skip through the outro. It's the same thing. I changed the scenes and the color to match the drum beats because I like doing that. I think it's interesting. Let's talk about post-credits. Alright, so we just flashed forward to the actual tournament of tournament of Power arc, because there's nothing more for me to tell in this time between the actual tournament and getting ready. So we just jump straight into it. Everyone's fighting. Oh my goodness, what's happening? We see the strongest one, Jiren. So, this is my only regret. I wish I wish that I had taken this entire post-credit scene and put it at the end of episode 2. I feel like it would have gone better to go from episode 2 to episode 3. Jiren, being the strongest in the universe, is asking to be killed. We'll get into this more later on, but I just felt like this would have been better at the end of episode 2. And the thing is, I made this spur of the moment. I had finished making everything, and I was like, oh hey, what if we just had Jiren like say, please kill me? That will create some mystery, and then everyone, because I already had the story written out by the time I started this series, that would create some mystery. Then everyone would be like, what? What's going on? Why is Jiren wanting to? I wanted to have a discussion about that. But ultimately, there's nothing else that this contributed at the end of episode 1. You'll also notice that I use Zeke from Attack on Titan for this. And I changed Jiren's voice later on, because Jiren doesn't talk enough for me to get the emotion or tone or sentence length that I'm looking for. It's very difficult to, especially in Dragon Ball, it's very difficult to isolate this is before Xenoverse 2 had Jiren. It's very difficult for me. No, he was there, and he just didn't have a lot of lines. I couldn't get him to speak. And I couldn't get him to speak during times that were clear. So I used Zeke from Attack on Titan, because Attack on Titan is a very good anime to get voices from, because they have some stretches of episodes where no one's talking. The reason that I changed the voice later on is because there's way more of Reiner talking than there is of Zeke. It's way easier for me to get... I can remember scenes where Reiner is angry and yelling, like in season 2 in the forest when they're kidnapping Eren. I can remember those scenes, and I know I can go and get those voices. And I know of scenes where Reiner is sad. So I have a range of emotion that I can get from Reiner. Zeke is a lot more difficult, because he only showed up at the end of... He, in his human form, only showed up at the end of season 3. So that's it. That's everything. I'll have to go through and redo the timestamps. I'll try and edit this out. We'll see if I can get this posted today. Probably not, but we'll see. Thank you for bearing with me as I went through everything all over again. I know there was a lot more passion and detail that I did the first time I was doing this, but unfortunately, I'm just a little tired because I've had to redo this thing 3 times. So I'm going to see if I can upload this today. I feel like I keep repeating myself. We're currently at 38 minutes, which is the fastest I've ever done one of these, but it's also because I didn't really have the energy to get as in-depth as I did the first time. I'm trying to be a lot less rambly when doing these things. I know I said I don't want to do a lot of editing or a lot of things like that, but I've accepted that I'm going to do a ton of editing. I'm going to edit this and add the videos or the episodes I was talking about, and then when I upload it to YouTube, I'm going to edit in the closed caption for anyone who wants closed caption, and then I'm going to go and do episode 2. I have almost finished Vegeta speedruns the Boo Saga. Where's my project file? I don't have it saved correctly. And this also has some disappointments that I'll talk about. Not in terms of the actual video, but when it comes time for me to discuss the episode breakdown, I'll talk to you about how I had to redo the entire thing, and then halfway through decided not to redo the entire thing, and it was giving me a lot of headache and difficulty, but here we go. Oh, I need to actually go through and add the credits, but I've already finished this, so I'll upload that whenever. Okay, thanks for stopping by. Take care.